website has just been created to allow decent companies to hire decent employees on the basis of their merits instead of on the basis of diversity quotas, which is what a lot of major corporations are using instead. This website doesn't even ask for the race of the employees. It's called UnWoke.HR. Now, if those on the left were really honest when they say that they just don't want racism in hiring practices, they'd be elated. They'd think, well, nobody can even see the race. All they see is a person's qualifications for this job, and they're hired on the basis of those qualifications. But instead, leftists seem outraged at the whole idea. Like, finally, we've got non-racist hiring practices enforced. There can be no, as they call it, implicit bias. And yet they're angry. So angry that they've been trying to deface the site with fake posts and different hacking attempts. You know, those on the left have said for a while things like, just build your own platforms, or just build your own websites, when conservatives and other decent people are kicked off of the more mainstream sites. And yet whenever that happens, whenever you do have somebody decent who goes and creates his own website to try and do something better, they're attacked, their website is, well, defaced, there are attempts to take it down, there are attempts to starve them by getting rid of their payment processes, and so on. The list goes on. This always happens. Whenever anyone decent tries, those on the left trying to destroy what they've built. Just take Gab as an example. It's a site that simply allows people to speak freely, as long as it's legal by US law. And the attacks against it to try and get it taken down have been relentless. Everything that you can think of, attacks on their domain name, attacks on their hosting providers, on the people who protect them from different attacks against their DNS. It just goes on and on. Again, payment providers have been attacked. Then the Subscribestar is another example. Subscribestar was created because this site Patreon started kicking people off because they essentially had the wrong opinions. Subscribestar was created, and it's an alternative that allows people to speak freely and to receive donations. That's the purpose of it. Just like Patreon, it was to allow people to donate to people like myself who make their living based upon donations. And yes, by the way, I am on Subscribestar. But in any case, Subscribestar got basically came under attack, with PayPal and other payment processors kicking them out. They had to really search for a payment processor that would take them. They weren't doing anything illegal or anything immoral. They were just allowing different people to transact on their website by choice voluntarily. Now, going back to UnWoke.HR, I encourage you to use it. If you're tired of being at a job where the people at the top hate you, or where you think that if you speak freely at home, then you'll be fired at your job, maybe now is the time to move on. And sites like this will only thrive if people use them. If people don't use them, then they'll just be dead in a couple of years. That's the way that it works. And one of the main reasons I hear from people who say they can't be vocal about their belief systems and their values is they're afraid of being fired. And I'm not talking about those beliefs at your job, just talking about them at home or on the internet and so on. And there are a lot of people who are afraid of speaking freely because they're afraid of being run out of a job. So maybe it's time for people to work at decent companies. And this site makes that possible. If you're a company, then you can actually get some decent employees. And you don't have to specify what your company is actually called. If you run a shoe shop, you don't have to put the name of the shoe shop, just put shoe shop. And that allows you to find employees in the right category while also protecting your business name from, well, the sort of attacks and smears that I mentioned earlier. So, UnWoke.HR, take a look at it. It has come under a lot of attacks so far. By the way, like I said earlier, all these different posts, fake posts that are really trashy. Like, leftist posts demonstrate that they're absolute trash. So maybe give them a little bit of time to clean that up. They're already going through it and getting rid of some of those people. The trash, basically. But sign up and take a look around. If you're a company who's looking to hire decent people, or you are one of those decent people looking for a decent company, take a look around, because I think it's about time that we stopped funding these big corporations who are antithetical to our basic values, and in a sense, when you work for them, you kind of fund them, in the sense that you keep them heralded, you keep them afloat, in a sense. So, yeah, it's time that we stopped doing that, and allowed people to speak freely. Wait, if you enjoyed that video, please remember to like and share. I can't grow without you. Also, if you want to be reliably notified of new videos, don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter. If you're able to support the production of these videos, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe at Subscribestar, or maybe get one of the healthier products, or even get some merch.